Hello and welcome to the lesson. Today we are going to study the transaction cost theory, which is one of the theories of corporate governance and ethics. This is a theory that focuses on the costs and benefits of different forms of governance structures. And according to this theory, firms exist because they are more efficient than markets in coordinating economic activities. However, firms are not perfect, and there are costs associated with managing and coordinating economic activity within a firm. So, transaction cost theory suggests that the optimal form of corporate governance depends on the transaction costs that are associated with different forms of coordination. For example, if the transaction costs associated with contracting are low, then market transactions may be more efficient than the hierarchical transactions within a firm. On the other hand, if transaction costs are high, then it may be more efficient to manage economic activities within a firm through hierarchical governance structures such as boards of directors and also management teams and so on. So the transaction cost theory has important implications for the corporate governance and ethics. For instance, the theory suggests that governance structures of a firm should be designed to minimize hierarchical and market-based efficiency. And that may involve a balance between hierarchical and market-based governance structures, as well as the use of contracts and other governance mechanisms to manage and coordinate economic activities of a company. Do you get it? That is the transaction cost theory. Now, critics of this theory argue that it may prioritize efficiency over other values such as equity, social justice, and so on. In addition, some argue that it may overlook the importance of social and environmental considerations in corporate decision making. So, the transaction cost theory is a theory of corporate governance, and it focuses on the costs and benefits of different forms of governance structures. I've given examples. We may have um, the company contracting other firms to manage the economic activities, or having a hierarchical system where we have, say, board of directors and so on. So this theory focuses on the costs that are and benefits that are associated with different forms of governance structures. And we say that according to this theory, firms exist because they are more efficient than markets. They are more efficient than markets in coordinating economic activity. So what are some of the benefits of this theory? Benefits. Now, the first benefit is that this theory helps in understanding the optimal governance structure. Understanding optimal governance structure. Optimal governance structure. It helps to understand the optimal governance structures. This theory helps in understanding why firms choose certain governance structures over others. And later on, we'll be studying different forms of governance structures. We'll be studying your next topic, models of governance structures. Some of the models of governance structures that we'll be looking at include the advisory board, the patron governance, model, the corporate model. We look at the management team model, the policy board model, the fundraising board model, the traditional model. We also have the cover board model. These models, we are going to cover them in our next topic, that is including the cortex board model, the consensus board model, the competence board model, governance of family owned farms, and so on. So the transaction cost theory helps in understanding optimal governance structures or models. Do you understand? It helps in understanding why Farm A may choose model B and Farm C may choose model D. It explains how transaction costs influence decisions regarding the allocation of authority, monitoring mechanisms, and also incentive alignment with a farm. Incentive alignment with a farm. That is the first benefit of transaction cost theory. It also helps identify agency costs. Identifying agency. Identifying agency costs. This theory helps in identifying and addressing agency costs within farms, which arise when interests of managers who are agents diverge from those of shareholders who are the principals. So by understanding transaction costs, firms can design governance mechanisms to mitigate agency problems and also improve the performance of firms. The third benefit, designing efficient contractual arrangements. It helps in designing efficient contractual arrangements by providing insights into the design of contracts between different stakeholders, such as the shareholders, managers, suppliers, customers, and so on. This theory helps in structuring contracts to align incentives, to reduce opportunistic behavior, and also to minimize transaction costs. Four, vertical integration decisions. The fourth benefit is in relation to decisions, right? Vertical integration of decisions. The transaction cost theory helps in decision making regarding vertical integration. Vertical integration. Firms can use this theory to assess whether to integrate vertically in order to reduce transaction costs that are associated with market transactions, or to outsource certain activities within the organization. Do you understand? It helps in making vertical integration decisions. By analyzing these transaction costs, an organization can make a decision on whether to outsource certain activities and so on. It is also helpful in M&A, mergers and acquisitions. Mergers and acquisitions. Transaction cost theory offers a framework for understanding the motivations behind mergers and acquisitions, because firms may merge in order to internalize transactions, and they may also merge to reduce transaction costs, or they may acquire other firms to gain access to certain or specific resources or capabilities. So these are 5 benefits of transaction cost theory. We are now going to highlight the limitations or challenges of transaction cost theory. The first challenge is in relation to measurement. 1, measurement issues. Quantifying transaction costs in corporate governance can be challenging. Unlike in traditional production costs, transaction costs are often difficult to measure, making it hard to apply the transaction cost theory directly in governance decisions. Number 2, we have complexity of relationships. Complexity in relationships. Complexity in relationships. Corporate governance involves complex relationships between various stakeholders, including the shareholders, the managers, the employees, the suppliers, the customers, and regulators. So the transaction cost theory may oversimplify these relationships by focusing primarily on economic incentives and by focusing solely on transaction costs. We know relationships are always complex. And by focusing on just one aspect of a relationship, for example, the transaction cost or the economic incentive, then that becomes a challenge. 3, behavioral assumptions. Behavioral assumptions. Now, the transaction cost theory assumes rational behavior. It also assumes self-interest among economic agents, which may not always hold true in practice. Human behavior in corporate governance is influenced by factors beyond rational calculations, such as emotions, social norms, ethics, and so on. So this theory assumes rational behavior and self-interest among the economic agents, and that is its limitation. 4, dynamic environment. Now, this theory may not adequately account for the dynamic nature of corporate environments, where transaction costs and governance structures can change rapidly due to technological advancements, regulatory changes, or even shifts in market conditions. So the theory may not adequately account for dynamic nature of corporate governance environment. 5, limited scope. Limited scope. This theory primarily focuses on economic transactions within firms and between firms, neglecting broader social and ethical considerations in corporate governance. It has a limited, narrow scope. 6, agency problems. Agency problems. Now, while the transaction cost theory helps in understanding agency costs, it may not provide a complete solution to agency problems, because governance mechanisms designed to reduce transaction costs may also introduce new agency conflicts, or it may introduce what we call unintended consequences. So these are 6 challenges. 1, challenge related to measurement. 2, complexity of relationships. 3, behavioral assumptions. 4, dynamic environments. 5, limited scope. Number 6, agency problems. We've highlighted 5 benefits. 1, the theory helps in understanding optimal governance structures. Number 2, it helps identify agency costs. Number 3, it helps in designing efficient contractual arrangements. Number 4, it may also be helpful in making decisions. Number 5, mergers and acquisitions. So these are 5 benefits and 6 challenges of the transaction cost theory. Assignment: describe the transaction cost theory. 2, highlight the benefits and challenges of the transaction cost theory. Describe the transaction cost theory. Number 2, highlight the benefits and challenges of transaction cost theory. That is your assignment. When answering, please try and answer the questions without referring to your notes. Find out if you can recall what you have learned in our today's lesson. Thank you. God bless you. Bye-bye.